ඉවසීම මගහරින්න. රෝගය ආසාදිත පුද්ගලයන් හමුවීමට නොයන්න. මුහුණ, මුඛය, නාසය සහ ඇස් ඇල්ලීමෙන් වළකින්න. අනවශ්‍ය ගමන් බිමන් යෑමෙන් වළකින්න. මුඛාවරණය ඉදිරිපස ඇල්ලීමෙන් වළකින්න.
We're stronger together.
People's mindsets are strong. Despite poverty, they are strong enough to stand up and be counted. For them, Gammantha has been a source of strength for over a decade. Gammantha, by the people, for the people.
Hello there, very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News here on News First, where the people come first. You're joining me, Naveksha Gunasekara, and we start off by taking a look at your headlines.
Another $500 million from the Asian Development Bank to Sri Lanka. President tells the parliament.
ආසියානු සංවර්ධන බැංකුව අපට ඇමරිකන් ඩොලර් මිලියන 500ක් ණය ආධාරයක් ලබා දීමට කැමැත්ත පළ කර තිබෙනවා.
Will the 22nd constitutional amendment be debated today?
අපි සූදානම් අපි එකට එකඟයි. එතකොට මිසින් දෙවැනි විවස්ථා සංසදයේ අද ගේන්නද? අපි මේකට විවාදයට ගත වෙන කාල වේලාව අනුව ඒක තීන්දුව කරන්න පුළුවන්.
Professor Ranjit Bandara is the new COPE chairman. Triple homicide in Minuangoda. Possible link to 2017 kite case. Special teams to crack down on crime in the south.
අවශ්‍ය වුණොත් අවශ්‍ය බලය පාවිච්චි කර ඔවුන් අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීමට ඒ නිලධාරීන් අපි වැඩමුළු වලට යොමු කරලා තියෙනවා.
In your top story, President Ranil Wickremesinghe told the parliament on Thursday that Japan has said that it is ready to assist Sri Lanka in the credit reconciliation process. He also said that Japan has agreed to co-chair the summit in negotiation with the debtor countries. The president further said that the Asian Development Bank has agreed to provide $500 million to Sri Lanka.
සිංගප්පූර සමග පස්සම් කර ඇති නිදහස් වෙළඳ ගිවිසුම පහුගිය කාලයේ නිසියාකාරව ක්‍රියාත්මක වුණේ නැහැ.
The free trade agreement that we signed with the government of Singapore was not enacted in a proper manner. If we are able to revive this agreement, Sri Lanka will benefit a lot from it. It is also a positive sign that Japan has agreed to become an intermediary party in the debt restructuring process. At the same time, Japan has agreed to co-chair the summit in negotiation with the debtor countries. We hope to re-engage with China after the National Congress of the Chinese Communist Party. It is also a positive sign that Japan has agreed to intervene in the debt restructuring process with China. I met Indian Prime Minister Modi in Japan and I informed him that I would visit New Delhi to discuss our current position. We hope to reach a common agreement with creditor nations including Japan, China and India as soon as possible. After we reach an agreement with the creditor nations, we can engage with the private creditors in the London Club. After we reach an agreement with the creditor nations and private creditors, we can obtain an assurance from the International Monetary Fund. The Asian Development Bank has already agreed to provide us with a $500 million loan assistance. Once the IMF assurance is obtained, we can access bridging finance facilities from the Asian Development Bank and the World Bank. We hope to tap into $1 billion or $2 billion. We will be able to secure some form of stability by the end of next year, and we will also be able to strengthen the rupee. We will be able to witness the result by mid next year. I do not want to make a comment on that right now. Over the past 2 years, the amount of money that was printed is almost 13 times greater than the amount printed back in 2015. However, production did not increase. This situation would force inflation to spike up to 100%. However, the decisions we took over the past 2 months helped place inflation at 69.8%. Food inflation is almost at 95%. This is the reality. Sri Lanka did not experience such levels of inflation during the World War. This is a very dangerous situation. All necessary measures will be taken to provide fertilizer and seeds for the upcoming harvest season. If we will be able to reap the Maha season harvest without having to face any natural disaster, we will be able to address the food crisis in the country. We wanted to boost the economic growth through state banks and state-owned enterprises. However, that has failed. Therefore, we will restructure our debt, obtain funds from the IMF, World Bank and the ADB, as well as assistance from other nations. At the same time, a positive Maha season will boost the economy as well. We will have to face numerous global challenges that are beyond our control when we are proceeding ahead. The fuel prices is one such thing. Due to the war in Ukraine, there is a possibility that fuel production from December to next year would drop. Then the price of fuel in Sri Lanka will also increase. I undertook this journey knowing the risks it carried. I took over the responsibility when no one from the opposition took up this post. I undertook the risks and proceeded with this journey ahead. We are slowly reaching stability. We are aware that a majority in the country would support this program. There are those who are against it as well. They will not support the ailing economy to recover and are waiting for the economy to breathe its last. They believe when the people start to die in hunger, they can obtain power over. This has never become a reality throughout history.
සහයෝගය නොදී ආර්ථිකය අවසන් හුස්ම හෙළෙන තෙක් බලා ඉන්නවා. ඔවුන් හිතන්නේ ආර්ථිකය කඩාවැටි ජනතාව හාමතේ මියන තත්වයට පත් වුණොත් මලකඳන් මතින් බලය ලබා ගැනීමට හැකි වෙන බවයි. ඉතිහාසයේ පුරා ලෝකයේ කොහෙවත් එහෙම බලාපොරොත්තු ඉටු වෙලා නැති බව විතරක් මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ පෙන්වා දෙන්න කැමතියි.
Heated exchanges were reported in Parliament with the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution Bill that is to be presented to the House. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that a decision on the matter will be made at the party leaders' meeting.
Speaker, we are ready for a debate with the consent of the House on the statement made by the President today. Are you suggesting to debate it today? We are ready.
ගරු කතානායකතුමනි මම අහන්නේ සරල ප්‍රශ්නයක් 22 අද ගේනවද නැද්ද එච්චරයි
ගරු කතානායකතුමනි මට සංවිධායක කිරියල්ල මැතිතුමා පස්වරුවේ හමු වුණ අවස්ථාව අනුව සහයෝගය දක්වන්නට අමාරු බව ප්‍රකාශ වුණා බොහොම කනගාටුයි
හිටි හැටියේම කමිටි ස්ටේජ් එකේ අවලංගුයි.
At the committee stages, are you trying to bring back the already removed clauses on dual citizenship and the tenure of the Parliament? We did not receive proper responses. We made submissions on matters that we cannot agree. We also questioned on where there will be a curtailment of the President's powers via the 22nd Amendment. But we did not receive a response. Dr. Vijaydas Rajapaksa spoke to me and agreed in a progressive manner on making reasonable changes. In Section 44, the President only has to consult the Prime Minister.
ප්‍රගතිශීලී පිළිතුරක් ලැබුණේ නැහැ. හැබැයි ඊයේ දවසේ කළමනාකරන කමිටුව යන අතරවාරේ ගරු විජේදාස රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමා දුරකථනින් මාව ආමන්ත්‍රණය කරා. මම පෙරලා එතුමාට ආමන්ත්‍රණය කරා. මම ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම එතුමාට ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා. අර අපි කතා කරපු කරුණු කාරණා ප්‍රධාන කරුණු කාරණා පිළිබඳව ඉතාමත්ම ප්‍රගතිශීලීව, ඉතාමත්ම සුබවාදීව, ඉතාමත්ම ධනාත්මකව එතුමා එකඟතාවය පළ කරා. මේකේ යම්කිසි සාධනීය වෙනසක් කරන්න. මම මේ විවෘත සභාවේ එතුමාට ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා මගේ ගෞරවය පුද කරන එතුමාට. සෙක්ෂන් 44 එකේ ජනාධිපතිවරයාට තියෙනවා අගමැතිතුමාව කන්සල්ට් කරන්න විතරයි. ඕක ඉතින් මචන් ටෝක් එකක් දාගෙන කරන්න දෙන්නේ. under advice නෙවෙයිනේ in consultation. කියන්න පුළුවන් අපි අගමැතිතුමා මට මේක ඕන කිව්ව හැටියේ ඕන තරම් ඇමතිකම් තියාගන්න පුළුවන්. කරුණා කරලා මෙතන පෙන්වන්න හදන්න එපා. මේ විපක්ෂයේ විරුද්ධ වුණ නිසා මේක ගැන ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා.
Do not try to claim that there is an issue because of objections by the opposition. As per these provisions, the President can disregard the decisions of the Constitutional Council and act on his own whims. Ask President Mahinda Rajapaksa whether it is possible or not. You must first prepare your group. We are ready to respond positively without deceiving the people.
සාගරකාරී වශයෙන් මහලේකම්තුමා තව එකක් කියන්නයි අපි 22කට විරුද්ධයි කියන්නේ එහෙම නෙමෙයි. ඔතන හදාගන්න අපි සූදානම් යථාර්ථවාදීව මේ 22 රටේ ජනතාව අන්දවන්න නැතුව රටේ ජනතාව රවට්ටන්න නැතුව ඒව පිළිබඳව ධනාත්මක පිළිතුරක් දෙන්න අපි සුබවාදීව එකට ප්‍රතිචාර දක්වන්න.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe told Parliament that the IMF staff-level agreement cannot be released until it is ratified by the IMF board.
In the spirit of the constitutional provision that the President is answerable to Parliament, might I ask the President just two clarifications on the statement that was made. Firstly, Mr. President, the IMF issued a statement at the time the staff-level agreement was being reached, highlighting a factor as a challenge, which they called corruption susceptibilities as a challenge. What is the government's plan to address corruption within government in order to overcome that? That's the first clarification. Secondly, Mr. President, while you were Prime Minister, I sought a clarification with regard to staff level agreement, and in this House you gave an undertaking that the House will be kept informed at every stage of these negotiations. So far we have not been informed of what the staff level agreement contains. Will you direct that be placed before the House?
As far as the IMF clauses in regard to corruption, the Minister of Justice is bringing a new corruption law which will include the UN provisions that have been referred to in the staff level agreement, and you all can also have the opportunity of discussing it in Parliament or before Parliament. There is no problem on that. We will make it available. The staff level agreement is subject to ratification by the board, and unlike earlier instances, we still have to go and meet the main creditors. So we don't know whether there will be any other condition imposed. As a result, we cannot release the staff level agreement this time until the board clarifies it. But I am arranging in the next 2-3 weeks for the members. We are having a cabinet session together with that, and the leaders of the opposition parties get a briefing on it. I am trying to speak to Lazard if it's possible for them to give it. It will be better than even our officials giving you that briefing.
Professor Ranjit Bandara was appointed as the chairman of the Committee on Public Enterprises, or COPE. Professor Ranjit Bandara was appointed as the chairman of the COPE by the consent of the majority of members of the committee. Moving on to more news, the core group at the UN Human Rights Council is preparing to bring forward a resolution on Sri Lanka on Thursday. Sri Lanka's Foreign Minister Ali Sabri told reporters from Geneva that human rights is being used as a tool to perpetually keep Sri Lanka in the agenda.
The core group at the United Nations Human Rights Council has produced a 19-point resolution on Sri Lanka. This is a draft resolution and it has received the support of 30 other countries. The core group on Sri Lanka comprises of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Canada, Germany, Malawi, Montenegro, North Macedonia and the United States of America. Almost 9 of the 19 points mentioned in the draft resolution express serious concern over the economic crisis and the recent violations of human rights in Sri Lanka. The draft resolution expresses concern towards the human rights impact on the economic crisis, including increased food insecurity, severe shortages in fuel, shortages in essential medicines, and the reduction in household incomes. The core group also expresses concern at other human rights developments since April 2022, including violence against and the arrests of peaceful protesters, as well as violence against government supporters, resulting in deaths, injuries, destruction, and damage to the houses of members of parliament. It also calls upon the government of Sri Lanka to address the ongoing economic crisis, including by investigating and warranting prosecuting corruption, including where committed by public and former public officials, and stands ready to assist and support independent, impartial and transparent efforts in this regard. The core group calls upon the government of Sri Lanka to protect civil society actors, including human rights defenders, to investigate any attacks and to ensure a safe and enabling environment in which civil society can operate free from hindrance, surveillance, insecurity and threat of reprisals. 47 countries will exercise their vote at the UNHRC session, and almost 30 countries have decided to co-sponsor the resolution on Sri Lanka.
A triple homicide claimed the lives of a father and 2 sons in Minuangada early on Thursday. Crime Watch has the details.
Crime Watch.
A
triple homicide was reported from the Gamangedar area in Minuwangoda. Police spokesperson SSP and attorney Nihal Taldur told News First that a 51-year-old man and his two sons, 23 years old and 24 years old, were brutally gunned down on Thursday morning. He said that multiple shooters had visited their residence on a motorcycle and a car and carried out the murder.
Crime Watch.
A body of a man who was brutally murdered was discovered from inside a house in Lenamia in Naula. Sri Lanka police said that the man may have been killed on Wednesday night or early on Thursday morning. Police added that the deceased was alone at his home at the time of the murder and further investigations are underway.
Crime Watch.
Sri Lanka police said it is taking the necessary measures to crack down on criminal activity that is taking place in the southern part of Sri Lanka.
Since 1st of June, around 15 firearm-related crimes were reported in the southern province. We have arrested 20 people. We will not allow these criminals to use firearms once again. We will be setting up 2 special crimes prevention divisions in the southern province soon. We will crack down on these criminals by providing officers with special training. If necessary, force will be used to arrest these criminals. Police officers who will be given special training in mobile patrols and firearms to crack down on drug trafficking, firearm trafficking, as well as organized criminal activity. These police teams will be deployed with the assistance of the Police Special Task Force.
The farmers of Anuradhapura Rajanganaya Usgalyaya area are under severe pressure as they cannot protect their crops from the wild elephants. A group of farmers are engaged in banana cultivation in Rajangana Usgalyaya area. Although the authorities were informed about the threat of wild elephants on their crops, and as there was no solution provided, they took steps to set fire to their crops. A herd of elephants had caused massive damage to the banana plantations that were about to be harvested. The farmers are requesting for some solutions to the problems they are facing. Wild elephants encroaching the villages from the Wild Elephant Management Reserve in Hambantota have severely damaged the cultivated lands in the Balagaswava area. These elephants have been roaming near the Balagaswava village for about 2 days. Villagers say that these wild elephants who roam around the Balagaswava reserve during the day encroach the village late at night. The villagers complain that the elephants destroy the coconut, banana and other crops cultivated in the village at night. Even though the villagers inform about this to the wildlife officials, no action had been taken. The local residents work together to chase away the wild elephants. Our correspondent said that the operation to drive away the wild elephants was carried out until around midnight yesterday. Today is day 2 of the 6th edition of the Gammatha Door-to-Door program, and the Gammatha teams were deployed across 3 districts today as well.
Gammatha Door-to-Door.
The team engaged in the Gammatha Door-to-Door program are visiting rural villages in Sri Lanka in the Jaffna, Matale and Kalutara districts. The team in Kalutara visited the Potupitiya division and observed the local population faces a plethora of issues while battling the economic crisis. This is Chandana Kumara. Although he is visually impaired, he manages to make ends meet by producing cement bricks. However, he has lost his only means of income following the massive price hike in raw material including cement and the collapse in the local construction sector. The team in Jaffna visited the Nedunthevu island and observed that the main issue faced by the islanders was a lack of access to clean drinking water. Although there is many water sources within the island, the water in them cannot be consumed due to the high saline levels. As a solution to this issue, a clean drinking water project was implemented. However, it is yet to provide the people with clean drinking water. These people mainly depend on the fishing industry, and their livelihoods are threatened by invading Indian fishermen. The Gammadda team in Matale visited Naula and observed that there too the main issue faced by the people is a lack of access to clean drinking water. The situation is such that many people in the Publiya village had fallen victim to chronic kidney disease.
Gammadda door to door.
In news overseas, North Korea has fired 2 short-range ballistic missiles eastwards, its second weapons launch in 3 days. Short-range weapons were fired east towards Japan after the US redeployed an aircraft carrier close to the Korean peninsula.
North Korea fired another 2 ballistic missiles on Thursday. Pyongyang on Wednesday described its recent blitz as just counteraction measures to joint US and South Korean military drills. On Tuesday, Pyongyang fired a missile over Japan, prompting the US to call an emergency United Nations Security Council meeting. In a statement, South Korea's military strongly condemned the launches and said they were a clear violation of United Nations Security Council resolutions. The country's National Security Council also condemned the launches as an unacceptable challenge to the international community and warned of a stronger response. Last month, North Korea also revised its nuclear laws, with leader Kim Jong-un declaring his country an irreversible nuclear power. With everything in place, Kim appears to be waiting for a politically opportune moment to carry out its 7th nuclear test. Analysts believe a test is most likely to happen during the window of 3 weeks between the Communist Party Congress in China later this month and the US midterm elections in early November.
And that's a wrap of lunchtime news here on News First, where the people come first. For all these stories and much more, visit our website www.newsfirst.lk. Thank you for joining.